I also know you became a mom, and I was reading that you said it was very inspiring.
I don't know if have I said it's inspiring? People keep
Someone,
asking me like,
you know what, Suki?
did I?
Someone said you did. How are you?
I'm great. I'm great. I'm about I think I've got about 10 days left of this leg of the tour. And yeah, I feel like this tour has been kind of like I guess they keep getting better. And I feel like an onion that's like peeling off parts, and it starts to feel like more and more comfortable in a way, like being in front of lots of people, doing shows every night, and actually like really enjoying it on like a cellular level, which is kind of surprising me as I keep going.
Hold on. If you're an onion peeling away parts, like who were you when you were the full onion? Like what did you have to peel away?
I mean, it's pretty terrifying. You know the feeling.
Yeah, right. Yeah, yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's like one thing, I think there's one thing like making a song in a studio, and there's another thing of like putting on a show and finding like the way that the show like weaves together cohesively and tells a story, and adding in, adding in like the aesthetics and the production, which I've been able to do more this time. Yeah, that's another thing. But yeah, the actual feeling of being on stage, I always feel like it's somewhat like a horror movie. It's like everybody is going almost to watch a horror film, and to kind of, you feel tense at the same time. You let go at the same time. Like everybody's kind of like, if a show's done properly, like everyone will collectively kind of like feel similar things at the same time. But yeah, it's a horror show, and that they're watching you, and anything could happen at any point.
I have never heard anyone call live performance a horror show in a way that meant that they liked it a lot. So before in my entire life, I apologize that I don't know your musical story very well from the very beginning. And so when I was looking into you and I was reading about you, obviously you became a professional model at a really, really young age. And you were very successful at that and continue to be. And then, acting comes your way and you become very successful at that and all kinds of business ventures. Is music something that came to you later, or was it something you were kind of doing all the way up? We just weren't seeing it.
Well, I think like I think truthfully that was that I guess like I always wanted to, or like kind of, yeah, I kind of always wanted to have that like life as a musician, and I was always writing from a really young age. um and I didn't like have many resources, I guess, at that point, or like kind of any like connections into the music world so much, but so I was pretty scrappy. But I think yeah, I mean writing songs has been with me kind of longer than anything else. So I started, yeah, I started releasing music in about 2016, and I would sort of put out like a song a year, and throw it off on DistroKid. But it took me like probably it took me close to a decade to actually get to the point of releasing a record. But I think it was that like very frightening thing. I have a song called Model Actress Whatever, kind of to poke fun at myself, but it was that frightening thing of like, I'd been making music, then I did start doing fashion when I was really young, and also acting. And even though like music had always been like the most truthful way that I'd ever been able to sort of express myself and like tell my own story, it wasn't like what I kind of had at the forefront. So to take that, to kind of like, I guess in a perception way, like take that left turn at later, like when I was older. But I was terrified of kind of how that would go down. So so yeah, that I'd started very small, just slowly putting out a song every year, and it took me a long time to get to the point where I would release a record.
I think what you're saying is that you were the whole way up from a really, really, really young age. You were really, really interested in music, and fashion came into your life, modeling came into your life, whatever, sort of unexpectedly, and then acting came into your life, maybe simultaneously or in a more gradual way. And music you had been doing the whole time, but you had been kind of keeping it for yourself. And then when it came time to put it out, there's a certain stigma on models and actresses putting out music. There's
Right,
a certain
exactly.
stigma on, and then you had some nerves around that. Talk to me a little bit about what you were worried about there. Am I right about that?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I think, I mean, yeah, trying to take a yeah, trying to add that, and that's why I called the song "Model Actress" whatever, because it's like kind of it is kind of like that hilarious, like, oh, she does all the things. So yeah, I definitely, and especially like, I don't know, look, in England it's pretty brutal there, of like how you're like the kind of how kind of people want to perceive you. Like, it's very difficult to kind of go like break out of that, especially in England. And the kind of, I get, yeah, the way that you're like publicly perceived there, and like press, it's like and there's, I love that about England, but we're pretty brutal over there. Like,
Yeah, I know. I'm familiar. I got some buddies who are English, and I got some buddies who are
yeah,
Irish, and never have I been mocked so deeply and felt so close to somebody at the same
yeah,
time.
exactly. So I think so. Yeah, for music, like one of the first things I did is decide to, like, when I made my record, um and I sent it to some labels. Like, one of the first ones I sent it to was Sub Pop, who are based in Seattle, and had no idea about anything, any kind of like perception about anything and going on over in England that much, you know. So I kind of started from ground zero in the States, and sort of like built up.
How do you get past it? Like at a certain point, they're putting out a full album with a lot of personal songs on it is a lot different than putting out a song a year. And you were worried about this and you were worried about that. I mean, because in the line of the song is the end of the song is "Call me a model actress forever. The other part of my story is with me forever."
Mhm.
Like, what happened that you got some acceptance, or what happened that you didn't care anymore?
I think I think that I think there was like I think there's that feeling of like, if you're not going to do it now, then when? And it definitely something to do with the pandemic also did that for me, sitting at home, like, you know, having kind of a that time to really like think about what you really want to do with your life. Like, now that everything was kind of, when everything was taken away from us, I think that was, you know, once you got past the terror of everything, I think it did make me really evaluate, you know, how do I want to spend my time. And I also do definitely credit the working on the TV show Daisy Jones and the Six, because I was playing a character in a band who was like so confident, and such a kind of like uh fulfilled artist that knew that she wanted to be on the road, and had such like courage in herself and such determination. And I think um you can't help but seep into the characters that you play. And I had to like get myself into Karen Circo's boots. And I think by doing that in some way, and also hanging out at Sound City Studios every day, you know, having these incredible songs that have been written by Blake Mills, who's one of my favorite artists, learning a new instrument. I was doing 3 hours of piano practice every day. You know, we were in like a kind of fake real band, but it felt like, you know, it was real to us. We were there for a year rehearsing, um, on and off, you know, because of the pandemic. So I think it was a kind of collection of those things. But I really think that the show, and playing that character, steeped into just kind of getting the nerve up to make the record.
Right. I think I understand. Yeah, there was like the pandemic happens and you think, life can't be taken for granted. There's not an infinite amount of time on this earth. There's something I want to do. I got to do it. And then nicely you get like on the job training by playing someone in a Fleetwood Mackie band, and you are hanging out in studios and you're hanging out with Blake Mills, who's like the greatest guitar player in the world and the
Yeah.
greatest producer in the world and stuff like that. He really might be the greatest guitar player in the world. And you're like, oh, okay, well then no time like the present, and I think I can do it. I think I'm ready for it.
Or maybe I should, maybe not, I can do it, but maybe I should just give it a go, because what have I got to lose, really?
Is it as scary as you thought it would be?
Um, yeah, Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was definitely pretty scary. But I think there's such a magic, and I think that record that I made, I Can't Let Go, was very sort of like, it was like, I called it I Can't Let Go. I didn't feel like I was going to be able to like move past that those emotions that are kind of like that I'd been in for like many years. And I just kind of, I don't know, I think there's such an unbelievable, um there's something that happens when you put that expression into a project and then you release it and it's gone and it belongs to others, and suddenly it's outside of you, and you can also see yourself outside of yourself. Like look at the work that you've done, and and you move past that moment, and it really, it just did such magical things to me. It completely changed my life. Sharing music and made me feel like connected to the earth and to other people again, and especially playing shows. And it was funny, yeah. By the time I got to making my second record, I think you were playing My Fun at the beginning. I kind of, it was interesting going back into the studio, because I never really expected to make a second record. I thought, maybe, yeah, maybe I would just have this one, and I probably wouldn't have gotten signed to do another one, if one of the really old songs hadn't had like a kind of TikTok moment. But when I was making the second one, I was just in such an unbelievably different place and making songs like My Fun, and so kind of released and on a completely different frequency than the first one.
Why? What do you mean you were in a completely different place?
Um, yeah, no, I mean, like, so much. I think the joy and the freedom and the kind of, yeah, the flow that I felt from doing being making music, having that in my life now as like a real, like I'm really, yeah, I'm like here, and I feel like I'm finally in truly like the right place.
Oh, I understand. Yeah, I really love that. The doubt's kind of gone. You're like, hey, I know I can do this, and there's joy and there's happiness, and I can. And
Yeah,
then
it
so
just
when it comes,
changed
when it
the
comes, yeah,
songs
yeah,
that
yeah.
came out a lot.
I have a question about it. So, as a model and as an actor, you're often bringing other people's story to life. But what strikes me is that the songs, while they are sometimes co-written, the songs are your story. You have to give so much of yourself. And on this record, I hear you reflecting on love. I hear you reflecting on fame. And on Nonchalant, you have this really sort of interesting framing that I've never heard in a song before. That there's a cool girl nonchalant image that you sort of have to hold that can stop you from getting vulnerable. Like, am I onto something? Can you tell me about that cool girl nonchalant image, and how you like recognizing that and moving past it?
Yeah, I think that like those, like that song in particular is kind of like part of, um yeah, that was kind of like when I kind of write out the creative Bible for all of the songs. Once I get them, that's when I'm in, that's kind of like been me when, in times of my life where I've been incredibly kind of, uh yeah, where I've like kind of been so guarded, it's been to my detriment, or I've, yeah, or maybe like I've closed down and like felt like I've become like somewhat a robot or something. But I think that's that also comes from, that's like definitely been at times, I think, especially working in fashion. I think, when like day in day out, like your job is kind of having people like touch you constantly and pull your clothes, and like you're getting changed and people are, you know what I mean, it's like incredible. You kind of like you get desensitized in some way to like that's very strange. Like you do start kind of like having some kind of disassociation from yourself. Like it's not the same as when you're just, you're doing something else and no one's coming in. And I don't really actually like being touched that much.
I mean, I hear you. It must be. I never thought about that for being a model. That people are just touching you all the time and sort of treating you like a mannequin. and treating you like you're not really there, and you just had to stand there and have people touch you, and that must have an emotional effect on you. I hadn't thought about that
Yeah, you
before.
don't get like much bodily autonomy, which is kind of strange. Oh,
But I heard the song as, and not to argue with you about what your song is about, but like I really feel like I hear it as like we can let our coolness and the way we're so nonchalant and blasé as sort of like a defense mechanism in how whether we express love to someone or we let someone in our life. And it takes a lot of confidence, and it takes a lot of, or like a certain realization to sort of take down that coolness and to take down that nothing bothers me, because to love somebody, to give yourself to somebody is an incredibly vulnerable, scary, uncool thing to do.
oh my God, 100%. And if you really do like somebody and you're in that kind of in between moment where you're not sure if they like, even if they, you know, that they like you, but you're like going to be absolutely devastated if it's not like, you know, love, and you guys aren't, yeah, if you're not going to be together, it's kind of it's about like that in between part where it's like I would rather move across country than you know, show myself to you and you deny me, because that could really like just be a disaster. Yeah, that like sensitivity, that vulnerability at the kind of beginning moments of a relationship is like pretty, it can be feel pretty fatal if it doesn't go the way that you want.
I know you also, and not to only talk about as much as you want. I also know you became a mom, and I was reading that you said it was very inspiring for your music.
I don't know if have I said it's inspiring? People keep
Someone,
asking me like,
you know what, Suki?
did I?
Someone said you did.
I don't know. Whenever people ask me that, I'm like, is it inspiring?
That's the weird part of your life, seems to be that people can make stuff up about you. But yeah, what I read was inspiring.
I
Well, how
might
about
have
this?
just said that. I might have just been like, you know what, it's inspiring.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, I have to go. It's inspiring. Anyway, can I please leave? How are you finding it in terms of making art, making songs? It's a thing that requires a lot of time and mental space.
I'm loving the tour part of it. I was very nervous about it, but I brought her on the road. She's gone and hung out with the band at the moment. But that
Already hanging out with the band, and now that
yeah,
they're, oh, I get it. Yeah,
that
yeah, yeah.
part has been a big joy for me. And especially like, you know, like your life in my, I don't know, my life in LA is like slightly strange, and um like it's actually been really nice to be in places, or you know, all around the country, and like walk around and be in, but yeah, just be wherever we are. And she's like taken to it really well, and I feel really grateful that I've been able to have this kind of like very group experience for her, where she's like now so comfortable, she's like so comfortable around people, and like, you know, has just got like so much stimulation, and everyone that I'm around and that I've cultivated in my like touring camp is so wonderful, and really, really just like special people who are all so close to me. So it feels, you know, there's something about having a kid where you want to, it feels even more fun when it's shared, and you also, yeah, everyone else is also like enjoying so much. It makes me really happy.
Can you tell me something before we go about I went to see the Eras tour in Toronto, and I saw the Taylor Swift show, and I really loved it, and I thought it was great. And I know you did the show in London.
I did.
Tell me some, yeah, tell me something about that, about playing a show at that scale. What you remember about it?
I know what. I still can't believe that. I mean, truly, that was very, very insane. Like when there's like a little automatic door that opens, and I did kind of. I mean, I felt pretty jittery in rehearsal, but when that door opened and I went out to do it, I just was like, oh my God, like that is really wide and vast, and more so because, you know, it's your hometown, or your family and friends are there, like you know, everyone, as many people as you can possibly invite. So that felt yeah, that felt insane. But it's just, yeah, it was like a, yeah, I always think any time that I even get to be around Taylor, and especially in that kind of environment, it's just like there's such a kind of like ground up level of excellence everywhere. It's like everybody's like so wonderful and great at what they do. And and kind. So the whole experience, so, you know, from like the backstage and the experience that everyone that you're with has, and it really like it's a very like it's like top down excellence, I always think.
Oh, it's a beautiful thing. I'll tell you again how much I loved your record, and I love getting the chance to talk to you. And thanks. I won't
Thank you
take more of
so
your time
much,
today because
Tom.
I know you got a gig tonight, and I want you to preserve your voice and do all that stuff
Thank
too.
you. Thank you. Well, it was great chatting to you.